Hello to you, our valuable viewer. We welcome you to our channel, and if you are back, thank you for joining us again. By the way, don't forget to like our video and also subscribe to our channel. Click on the notification bell to be notified whenever we are adding more videos. So yeah, anyway, ladies, who are we?
Infogeleza. And if you are new to our channel, this is a channel about career options, about study options. We are hoping that this channel will give you information on the different options that are there, subjects that you need to choose from high school to varsity, and how to best navigate the industries that you want to be part of. I promise you that we are going to be having different guests who are in different industries who are going to come and give you information about their respective journeys in the different careers. And before we go to people out there and bring you these guests, we have to start in-house. And we bring you our first guest, which is none other than our own Miss
Tselefetso Manana.
So thank you for being part of our guests
Of course,
and
definitely.
agreeing to be part of this channel.
Yeah.
Let's just start lightly, Tulu. Tell us where you come from and where you studied, especially high school.
Okay.
And how was your high school experience?
All right, so I'm from Pretoria. I was actually born in Rustenburg. That's where my mom is from. But I've been in Pretoria my whole life. Grew up here. And I went to high school in Langenhoven High School. It was previously known as Hoërskool Langenhoven, but high school, Langenhoven High School. So that's how I went. High school was actually great. For me, it was scary in grade 8. I remember back in primary, I went to Capital Park Primary. It's literally next door to Langenhoven. And I was part of the top 10 there. So this one guy who was in high school already was like, yeah, you're in top 10 in primary. You're going to get to high school.
And yeah, you're going to see flames.
So I went there being scared. And I think that fear also helped a lot for me to always be on top of my game. But yeah, high school is good.
Okay. So normally, I don't know with the high school of yours, but normally in some high schools, you start having to pick subjects. And they give you different streams like math and science, you'll get history, geography, and then you get the accounting stream. And with your high school, at which grade did you have to start picking those subjects, and which streams do they have, the different streams?
All right, so obviously in grade 9, you would have to then select what subjects you're going to go forward with. I don't think they specifically said this is the commerce, this is, the technical side. You could choose which one you wanted to do, because we had students who did maths, physics, and also accounting. Yeah. So, and also if you did mathematics and maths literacy, obviously if you did maths literacy, it sort of prohibited you from doing maybe your physical sciences. But I know accounting could be done with maths lit. So yeah, so it was grade 9.
That's actually nice, because in many high schools, you find that there's already a set stream with subjects that belong in that stream. And you can't just pick and choose each one that you want to have. I think that's actually nice, something that our high schools should consider, opening up those options to say, even if you like geography, you can do geography and commerce or accounting subjects, But how did you decide what subjects you would like to do, and what pushed you, what motivated you towards that selection?
All right, so I knew in grade 9 we had this assignment that we had to do, building a bridge, and I was struggling a bit, so I called a friend of mine and I'm like, how are you doing it, because I'm struggling? And he's like, no, I have an uncle who's a civil engineer. He's going to do it for me. And I'm like, civil engineer? Okay, well, what is that? What do
uncle
they do?
Is coming in handy.
Yes, uncle. So he's like, no, those people just draw and get money. I'm like, draw. And that time I actually enjoyed technical drawing.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, technical drawing. But now I know better. He was actually describing a draftsman. Civil engineers do, yes, we do design, but the people who actually draw are draftspeople. But anyway, so I then started being interested. I'm like, this civil engineering. And then obviously I knew I was going to pick maths and physics. And I knew because I like technical drawing, I was going to do EGD, engineering, graphics, and design. It's just it helped me knowing that I'm going to study civil engineering in university to pick those subjects. And then I picked CAT, computer applications technology as well, just so that I know how to work my way around the PC. So yeah, that's my thought process around that.
And how did you know about all this information, like the EGD things that you wanted to do at grade 9? Because most of us, if not, we struggle at grade 9 to figure out what subjects to pick. We even don't know the subjects that are relevant to the professions or the careers that we want to be part of. So how did you have that information at that time?
Sure. I don't know. I guess it's the Holy Spirit. I think, okay, so in high school, like I said, I wanted to always be on the top 10. And being good at every subject helped me to figure out which ones I didn't like and which ones I liked. I knew I didn't like accounting, business studies, all of that, the theory, the accounting, I didn't really get it, CPJ, CRJ. So I was like, no. I knew what I loved, and I loved drawing, I loved maths. And physics, definitely, because my parents also did maths and physics. There's no way I was going to switch and do something else. And I didn't really want to switch. I wanted to do maths and physics. So, and again, because of that little introduction to civil engineering by that guy, I went and had a look. Like, okay, actually, where did I have a look? Because I didn't have a phone back then.
Yeah, most of us didn't have the smartphones
where you could search,
at that time. And information was not so readily available back then.
But I think there was this talk at the time of engineering being the thing, so yeah, I really had limited information, but also at the same time it was enough for me to pick what I had to pick. And I think also my parents advertised maths and physics to me, like the way my mom would describe the experiments. She did biology. I knew I didn't want to do life sciences because labeling, no. I didn't like it. And my mom was disappointed because she's a nurse.
Yes.
She's like, oh, man, I thought you're going to be a doctor. I'm like, nope, I want technical stuff. I don't want a lot of theory. I want to draw. I want to calculate. So,
and your dad, did your dad's work experience also assist or drive you or push you towards deciding?
My dad was very good at chemistry. He knew that, on the periodic table of elements, he knew from 1 to 20. Like he would name hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen. I'm like, what? My dad knows this. I need to know better than my dad. But he didn't. I think if in his time he could choose, probably he would have done some engineering of some sort, but he didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, but his love for physics, for chemistry. Also, there was that guy on TV who used to I think he recently passed on.
I know those classes, the maths classes.
Guys, my dad
I don't remember his name.
William something.
Yeah, I remember those maths classes. Yes. I never used to watch them because I struggle with pure maths.
Yeah.
I struggle with calculations. So I really, really avoided that guy. But I know him.
Yeah.
I know I used to see it.
On TV.
Yeah, on TV. And he was always there. And he's just drawing and you're seeing this pen and white paper and he's drawing endlessly. So yeah.
So my dad made me watch it. Like there I was in primary school, guys. And there I had to watch high school maths, like X and Y, and I'm like, what is this? Like, he made me watch it. I didn't know what he was doing, but I just watched, and I guess I was like, you know what? One day I'll figure it out because it scared me. Seeing X, seeing Y,
solve for X,
and I'm like, one day, I'm gonna do this and know this and master it. So,
but that's actually quite nice to hear. Because I think everyone has that struggle of figuring out or finding their fit in terms of subjects. I know I've met a lot of high school students who have been asking, what do I have to do? What can I do? And some seem not to have the right information about the careers that they want. So it's a struggle for everyone. So it's a refreshing story to hear that someone knew what they were going to pick and actually pursued, their dream further. But apart from just picking the subjects, how did you find maths and science when you were now doing it after the picking selection process?
All right. So, like I said, I've always loved maths. Grade 1, guys. Maths, like addition, subtraction. I would actually go to the teacher for more, like stuff to do. Like I would finish. No, I liked seeing the gold star and the
Okay.
silver star in my books. I wanted to have more of that. So already in grade 1, I had a thing for it. I struggled with English and reading because you know what they would say, and they would draw a cat and then
Yes.
went up the wall. So you had to write cat. Did I not draw the cat again? So
You
so
forgot that this is words
this is
now.
words now. So even drawing. So I knew calculations, drawing, but not too artistic because even at some point I was wondering maybe architecture.
Okay.
But I saw the art part of it. I didn't really like that kind of art. I'm like, no, I want technical stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So with maths, I'd go a long way. But grade 2, unfortunately, I failed maths because they introduced like multiplication and division and BODMAS.
Oh.
And for me to see that cross, it meant it's wrong,
Oh.
not multiplication. So I really struggled.
Like, two
apparently,
is wrong, two
yeah, like,
equals two.
so apparently I failed grade 2, but a lot of us failed, so they made us go through. And my parents changed schools from then. So when they changed me from that school to Capital Park, I don't know, there was a light bulb moment. I went back to being good at maths, but also the friends I kept. So my friends were quite smart. So I wasn't on the top 10 initially. And when I
Okay.
saw my friends being there, I'm like, okay,
No,
where
you
do I
have
am
to,
going?
pull up
I'm
your
not
socks.
playing sports. I was bad at netball. At one point, I actually held the ball for the first time and I ran with it. Who runs with the
Where
ball
to?
in netball?
Where to?
To the goalpost. Even athletics, I think I only did long jump.
I don't think you won that match. Did your team
No,
win?
like, the teacher traumatized me because, wait, it's a bed. The long, like, I was traumatized. I never went back to netball. So athletics, yes, but what I'm trying to say is I wasn't winning anywhere else.
Okay.
And when I changed schools, that's when I realized that I'm actually beautiful because the guys are like, oh, that girl, that new girl. But that was grade 3, right? Grade 4, there was another new girl who was beautiful. So I was like,
So the spotlight moved
yeah,
from you.
so beauty ain't working out, sports ain't working out, academics has to pull through.
So something had to
Something had to give. And for me, so I looked at my friend who was top 1, like she was so good. And I'm like, how do you do it? And I saw her with maths, she practiced, with other subjects, she crammed. So I'm like, okay, this is the way to go. So ever since then, I think that love for maths was there. Drawing, I could do it. It was just getting better at it. And high school now, it's like, okay, now the academics, you're good at it, but what are you going to do afterwards? So the engineering, that bridge building assignment came in at the right time. So it's also...
So it sort of prepared you for what was going to come.
Yeah, certain things you can't really plan for as a kid because you don't really know.
Sure.
But also the environment I grew in at home, knowing that maths and science is a thing. You cannot not do it. My sister escaped. She went the maths lit route. Commerce. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so math. But it went.
But parents are more lenient on the younger ones than the older ones. You've seen that.
Yes. And I guess also with me, I mean, my parents, the other kids, they knew each other. They worked like they were nurses. Like this other friend of mine who was also on the top 10, friends with my mom. Her mom was friends with my mom, or they worked together. And they would also say, "Yo, but who did a distinction?" And my mom had nothing to say.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay. So she can't complain about anything.
What's happening with your studies? Let me check. So there was that pressure of you have to perform.
You have to.
So that also my mom can take that opportunity and brag.
And tell people that,
tell people.
No, my daughter got a star or a distinction.
Yeah.
But then let's fast forward.
Mm-hmm.
Now you are doing this science and maths, you're loving it, you're excelling at it, you have good inspiration around you, you have friends that are actually helping you. How do you then get to a point where you are at matric and you are deciding civil engineer is it for me?
Mm-hmm.
And the university that you had to pick.
All right, so like I said, grade 9, I knew when picking the subjects that civil engineering is the way to go, even though I did think about architecture, but that was like, not doing that. Then matric. Okay, before even matric, I think I was in grade 8. I don't know where we were going, but we were passing by Linwood. And my parents were like, oh, look on your left. There's the University of Pretoria. So I saw it and I'm like, okay, tax. This is tax. So I'm coming here. And in matric, in LO, we had a task of getting application forms and filling them out to universities. The only university that I went to and applied to was UP.
Is it?
And yeah, that was it. I didn't feel the need to go anywhere else. My mom was like, don't you want to go to UCT? And I'm like, no.
Did you attend open days at UP to see how the faculty for engineering
Not
is, or what's
even.
the requirements, or what you would need, or just get a feel of the campus itself before you choose it?
No, I only went after.
Oh.
So it was later on. So I applied immediately when applications were open in April. Went there with my friend. We applied. I think a week later, went back again, submitted. And probably 2 weeks later, they told me I was accepted. And then only in September or August, there was an open day because I had to apply for RAISE as well. So I went to that open day, saw the RAISE, and I was like, yeah, this is it.
I think another problem that I've seen is students or learners finding it difficult to distinguish between college and university.
Mhm.
So how did you know what a university was, and that university was it for you versus going to a college and doing some sort of engineering, the N some things that are there, the N1, N4?
I think growing up, there's always been that prestige outlook on universities. Never really considered a college. Also the building, guys, like when you see
very
that building,
beautiful.
It's beautiful, it's real. What college do you know that has a nice building and it's attractive? No, I'm not really being disrespectful, but
no shade to the colleges out there.
And they are they're proper, but we always hear UCT, WITS, UP, UJ, just university, and that's the thing. And I think now we're at a point where everybody just wants to go to university. And as someone who's working as a civil engineer, I'm like, you know what? Those technical colleges, those technical universities, we really need students to go there as well. But during open day, there was that question of why don't I go to TET versus UP? So I think I asked the wrong person. I asked a UP lecturer why I should come to UP instead of TET. I don't even remember the answer. I think all I got was UP is higher or something.
Okay.
At university, you are taken more seriously. Although with maybe a technicon, you get more practical experience.
Yes.
With university, it's more theoretical. But in the workplace, you are more likely to climb higher with a university degree or get a higher salary initially. But I mean, we're working now, so we know that.
Yeah.
Well.
But also, I think what did you find that when you started getting into the work environment, that there was a preference for certain universities versus others, or versus a college qualification or certification?
Yes. So the company I work for, you can see a lot of UP graduates.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm in the right place.
You picked the right choice.
And decided to work at a place that actually took in more of people that studied where I studied. So.
And this would have been in grade 11 when you applied for your admission.
Grade 11 marks are very important. So I knew in grade 11, as we're writing our November exams, these are the marks I will be applying for, because I couldn't apply in April with first term marks from matric. It had to be from grade 11. So I knew as I was writing those exams, girl, you're going to use these marks to apply at UP.
Which term did you use? Was it third term or the fourth term?
They won those finals. They won the final results in grade 11. And it sucks now when I see a lot of kids, not a lot, maybe, quite a lot actually, who don't really take grade 11 results seriously. They think, I'll do better in grade 12. But your grade 12 starts in grade 11.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's important to also highlight with the grade 11 results, people always leave it to grade 12. The problem is getting space in
Yes.
grade 12, because remember,
Mm.
people have already been accepted
Mm.
for that particular course previous,
Yes.
using the previous marks.
Yes.
So yeah, I think people overlook that part and think that they're going to have time and get space. Then you find this long waiting list and you don't know what the future
Yeah.
holds for you because you're just waiting for acceptance.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? Because I only applied at UP, so when I was done with my exams in matric, the nightmares I used to have. Like, what if they don't take me? Because it was a provisional acceptance in April. The final acceptance was going to be based on my final matric results.
Okay.
And so I stressed and I was like, maybe I should have applied in other places just in case UP decides not to take me. But it worked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then now you've been accepted. You went for the open day. You said you had to pick out a race. Can you just tell us what is a race for people who maybe want to know what is this race?
What
You've
is
already
a
been
race?
accepted to university. Why are you worried about a race?
And and I'm from Pretoria, so why am I even applying for it?
Exactly.
Oh, my mom advertised it. So she at some point was in Cape Town working as a nurse there. So nurses have their own, I wouldn't say res, but
Yes,
they
yes.
have that. So she's like, oh manaka, reze, with your white bedding, white curtains. Like, everything.
Your mom went to a 5-star race.
And she's like, in the morning you just shower, get ready, prepare, go to the dining hall, the food is prepared for you. All you have to do is eat, go to class, come back, have lunch, study. That's it. No more cooking. I'm like, what? And that time, I started cooking when I was in grade 6. So when you were coming back from school, you had to clean and then cook and then do homework. So I was like, she sold it for me.
Okay.
And she's like, you're gonna enjoy your time at race. So it was just a matter of which race. But I already had someone from church back home who was in a race already. She's like, oh, Astarov. She took me through. It's like, these are the rooms. It's like this. This is how much you pay. This is how much you get per day. We had cards.
Okay.
We could swipe. Ooh, and the money finished.
Very quickly, actually, because you don't realize it's like a credit card. You just swipe.
Yes, you just swipe away, buying magnums. So yeah, knowing someone already who was in UP, who was from church back home. So she told me about Astarov. I applied and I was like, that's it.
And did you find that you benefited from being in a race?
Yes, I did.
Versus living outside or getting outside accommodation?
Definitely, guys. The proximity to the university. I mean, I could leave for a 7:30 class. I could leave at 7:25.
You're already in campus.
I'm already in campus. So that 5-minute walk, the convenience of also not having to cook for yourself. People say race food is not nice. I don't know. Maybe today's not nice. Back then, gosh.
You wish you could have that dining hall with food ready for you every
now
day.
I'm the mom. I have to cook every day. I really am. I appreciated that time spent in race. I think it was the rest that I needed. And the only thing I really had to do was study. So when I failed, my parents are like, but why? Because the library is there, the varsity is there. You just have to walk to campus. You have everything. The food is there. I didn't even need pocket money because everything is there. What do you need? Why are you failing?
Sure.
Yeah.
That must have been tough. But let's bring it back a bit. Now, you've been accepted as civil engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Are there different types of civil engineers that you pick when you are, applying? Or is it just one? And what is the code name? We have attorneys, you do LLB, BCom law, but what is the code name for someone who aspires to be a civil engineer?
Okay, so it depends on the university that you go to, obviously. But so it's engineering as a whole. Then you get civil, electrical, chemical, mechanical, electronics, electrical. So I went with civil. Obviously, civil, I was introduced to it in grade 9. So I knew civil engineering was the way to go. But when you get there, you don't really get to choose per se, even though civil engineering is divided into, I would mention 5 branches. So you have your transport engineering, railway, you get traffic management as well. You get structural engineering, which is what most people, when they choose civil engineering, they think of the structures, the buildings, the bridges.
Yes.
You get hydraulic engineering, so the design of water structures, You get geotechnical engineering, very important. You can't really construct anything
Yes.
if the geotechnical engineer hasn't come to check. You don't want to be like the foolish man who built on sand. You want to be like the wise man who built on rock, right? So you get your geotechnical engineer. So that's when you start to work, that's where you'll probably decide where you're going to branch
Okay.
into. But while you're studying, we're studying everything, all
Okay.
those types of civil engineering divisions. We're all doing it as you study.
And for someone who wants to pick civil engineer, what's the code that you use for it? Is ENG something, H or something?
If you're studying at UP, you'll find engineering the built environment, right? The codes, it's SH something, SW something. So it's S. So for civil engineering, remember UP started off being Afrikaans. So civil engineering Afrikaans, civiele ingenieurs wat. So so it's S. Most of the stuff starts with S.
Okay.
SWK, SHC, SGM, S.
Okay, it's an S. Look for an S next to it. There must be civil
Don't look for
engineering
C.
engineering.
Chemical.
Yeah, because I thought you would have like a C something,
Chemical engineering.
Okay.
Probably C.
But then Tulu, I think I'm more now interested in, because it sounds very complex, civil engineer. The fact that you have to study the transportation aspect, the geotech aspect, the structural aspect, and you must be able to choose which one at the end of the day that you want to practice in when you are out there, you know, but you don't specialize while you are studying. You are just, dipping in each and every,
general practitioner.
How did you find the first year subjects and just generally your first year at university when you started?
So first year, so all engineerings were doing the same subjects. Because maths and physics are the main subjects to get into engineering, that's all you're doing in first year. So the physics is spread up. Now, in high school, you would do physical science. You have your section on mechanics or electrical circuits, whatever. In varsity, you have a literal subject for electricity. You have a subject for mechanics, a subject for chemistry. It's built out like that. So first year it wasn't that much of a transition for me. Some people really struggled. People who came in like with distinctions, 90s, I think they struggled because they first had to adjust to Pretoria as a whole. I think a lot of students from UKZN, they also struggled because I'm in UP, Afrikaans, English. Not that they taught in Afrikaans in first year, but I think transitioning was a bit tough. So Nagarga Mayana Wapitor is like, this is home.
This is your hood.
So I didn't have to adjust to the environment. The subjects and what we had to study, also, it was just a lot. It's too much. You're doing like 16 modules in 1 year, 8 modules per semester. The pace at which everything is done, it's very quick, but it's not really new things. We just took the physics we did in high school, we're spreading it out, and now we're focusing. So also the way in which you think, I realized with me, remember when I said, my friend said, with theory you cram, with math you practice.
You practice. So you use the same methodology when you
can't cram. It doesn't work. You need to understand, and that's what the transition I had to make now from high school to varsity. You really have to understand, because you would study that if you plug in one thing, you get in another thing. All right? That's what you would study. In a test, they say, since you plug in this and it comes out like that, what happens if you turn it around
and do it in reverse
or something? They test your understanding. So it's like, you know this theory, I know you know it. Now what can you do with it afterwards? So you really have to study to understand. And that was a shift I had to make. So I failed quite a few of like the first test. I got 30% for the first time.
Wasn't that a shocker, because you're used to getting the stars and the distinctions, and now you're like a top achiever in high school, then suddenly you get a 30 and you don't understand.
But it was a class test, 30 in a class test. It woke me up. But also because I wasn't the only one who failed, guys. There's a community of failures. We laugh together. But obviously you can't stay there. You need to now at some point be like, okay, fine, I need to pull up my socks. So you need to find a different strategy of studying. You can't be cramming. You can't study the entire textbook. You need to be smart. So first semester, you can see my marks are in the 50s because I'm like, whew. But second semester, I'm like, past papers, number 1. Don't bother with studying the entire textbook, go through the class notes. That's another thing. I thought, okay, class notes are summarized in textbook. Let me go to the textbook and summarize it myself. You don't have time. So past papers are your friend. People who are ahead of you, make sure you are tying in with them, and they can guide you to say, oh, this lecturer, oh, they like doing this, oh, that one, they do that. So you need to find smarter ways of studying because you can't do everything. You don't have the time. And it's varsity, guys. You have to live. Like,
of course, the lifestyle is busy now. You have outings. People are inviting you to socials. You know, and how did you maintain then that balance between your studies and having your social life? I know when we started varsity, they used to tell us about this balance. You must find a way to balance it out. But is it something that's attainable? Is it real to say people must have this balance? And how did you find your own balance?
I think you need to accept some things you're gonna lose, some things you're gonna gain. If you really want to be good, pass with cum laude, you're probably gonna have to sacrifice the social aspect to it. I was okay with passing, okay? Obviously, you don't want to just pass with like 50s. You want to make sure you're getting a certain average. So the fact that I was staying in Rays, it minimized the pressure to cook and all of that. So at least studies were the main thing. And the fact that also with Rays we had activities, I think that helped to balance. And also, I'm in Pretoria. I don't have to like travel far to go home if I want to go home. My parents can see me, or they don't have to see me. Like, hello, like
you're right here.
So it's not like I'm missing you. So it was okay. It was manageable, honestly, to balance. And all my friends were here, so yeah, for me it was actually not so bad. Yeah.
And how did you find the way to navigate the campus itself? Remember, campus is different from high school setup or high school building. How did you find your way around? The friends that you had, how did you make friends?
Rays, again, it helped. So in Rays, how they placed us this first year. So if you're studying something similar, you'll be in like a similar block. So we knew, oh, we're studying similar, oh, okay, we're staying just next door to each other or below each other, whatever. So we knew we were gonna walk together to campus. We knew the classes because we had orientation as well. They told us this is the class. So we got lost maybe once or twice, but after that it was in breeze. And with engineering, I mean, we had our own engineering building, so you knew where you were supposed to go. So our classes were not scattered as such, unless maybe we were doing another subject like statistics, which would be in another building, commerce side. Yeah, so but other than that, it was, you knew where to go.
Let's now talk academics now. You said you have 16 modules. That is divided into the 2 terms. How do you manage the workload and the exams that come with each term? And did you pass all of them first term, first year?
First term, first year, I passed everything. So after marks, like I said, it was 50s, 60s. Because I like maths, there I did much better. So the one thing I did, look at the study guide. Some modules are 8 credit modules, others are 16 credit modules, so they require more time. So if it's a 16 credit module, 160 hours should be spent. If it's an 8 credit module, 80 hours should be spent. So you could see also with the level of difficulty that, okay, this one I'm going to have to spend a lot of time on, but I cannot emphasize this more. Please, your past papers. Past papers are your friends, guys. Past assignments, past anything. Because lecturers tend to be lazy and they repeat. So that helped a lot.
Where did you find your past papers?
Also at Rays. Rays again. So we had Rays moms, and how they combined you with your mom is if she's studying a similar thing. So my Rays mom was a hit, like 3rd year civil engineering student. So I got my past papers from her. And initially, I didn't, like I said, when I studied maybe for the first test or whatever, I didn't look through past papers. I tried to study everything and failed. So, and then when I looked at the past papers she gave me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this question came out. Oh my goodness, this came out. I should have, I could have. Yeah, so yeah, that's how I navigated.
Now, what modules did you have? Let's say just by way of an example, so that people can, prepare themselves or sensitize themselves. First year. These are going to be my first year models. So, if maths and science is important at high school, it's going to be there. First year,
when you start?
Oh, there's one thing I didn't mention. So now I think they're writing NBTs. It wasn't a requirement back then, but there was the special course.
What is it?
Well, National Benchmark Test.
Okay.
I think the people who are doing medicine, they have to write them.
Okay.
I don't know about engineering if it's a must. I think maybe now it is compulsory. But so university, what they did when I was in matric, when I finished, they said there's a course, a maths course for a week. You just attend. It was 1,000 Rand. And it basically introduces you to maths in first year. So my mom was like, since you don't know what's going to happen, let's just sign you up and just go and do it. So I think that also helped. So in first year, you do calculus, you do maths, it's maths spread out. It's physics spread out. It's chemistry as well spread out. That's all you're doing in your first year. And then in maybe second year going forward, you start doing like your proper civil engineering subjects. So yeah, first year, expect to do physics, expect chemistry, expect calculus, some other maths modules, linear algebra and all of that. Material sciences, which you did cover in physics a bit, but now it's a whole module. Then you have electricity, electric circuits, all in one. EBN, I failed it. So that's the second module course that I did.
Okay.
Was it first semester or second semester? I can't remember. But because in high school I hated electric circuits, I didn't fully understand them, and I understood them just to pass. I was like, I'm done when it was matric. So when I got to varsity and I saw it, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It was a textbook, this thick, this big. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So because of that mindset of I didn't really understand it in high school, now it's a whole module. How am I gonna survive? That mindset, it made me fail. So I failed that module.
Was it the only module that you struggled with, or were there other modules that you struggled with?
I struggled. There's this one, NMC, Material Sciences. They call it No Man Conquers. I had a sub for it, but yeah, I managed to pass it as well. So I would help. Remember 2010, first year, it was a 2010 World Cup, right, in South Africa. So we had a whole month. So with subs, if you write your exams, probably a sub would be a week later after getting results. I had a whole month to study this module and to really understand it. And I consulted with the lecturer, and I'm glad I consulted with the lecturer. Consultations are also important because if you ask the right questions, they will lead you. Because I asked this one question and then the lecturer was like, okay, I see you understand this. How about if I switch that around? And I sat there and I'm like, I'm not really sure. Then he said, if I switch this around, that thing that he said, it came out of the sub. So consulting is also very important. Don't just sit there in your room and struggle. Find the smart people, hang around them, get past papers and consult.
Okay, so you've taken us through your high school, your now university, swiping away all those meals and studying, right?
Yeah.
You failed in first year, had to suck it out. Unfortunately, you were blessed with your mom. Well, Ray's mom, you said, right?
Yes,
Who
my first
they
papers.
advised you to always go and look at the past papers before all your exams, right? And I assume the tests as well. Take us now through your final year. How it is that you got to obtain your degree. Were there any other hiccups, failures along the way that you'd like to talk about? And what I'm mostly interested in is how the different streams, you mentioned 5 streams, right, that you can go into having studied engineering, how that then plays into your final year and then going into the workspace.
Loaded question. Alright, so in terms of hiccups along the way, yes. So in first year I failed one module, the electrical engineering one.
Okay.
But it's not there in my transcript. Okay. There's a way, guys.
How's the failure not on?
I see. Guys must be here.
Okay.
So at UP, I don't know if they do it now, but after getting your second semester test, you can sort of calculate your semester mark. And there was a window period of deregistering modules. So with that module EBN, I could see I'm not gonna make it to the exam. So why? Why am I gonna put something? Because to get to an exam, you need at least 40%. So I got, so I had below 40. I am not gonna put that on my academic record. I went, I deregistered the module. At least with the sub, it went well. I passed. So I don't have a fail on my report. Thank God. And then in second year, so that's when we're starting now with civil engineering modules. There was a major, SWK, strength of material. And the only thing we had there was just two tests. Two tests determining whether you get into an exam or not. The first semester test, I got a 40%. Second semester test, which I thought was okay. Guys, I got a 30 something. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So obviously, I'm not getting into the exam. I also deregistered. But when you fail a major, it adds a year. All right. So instead of me finishing my degree in 4 years, I finished it in 5 years. But it was okay because with failing that module, I had an easier third year. And third year is the most hectic year because now you're doing all these majors. Everything is a major. So I at least could do half of them. And I then decided to tutor. Okay. I tutored physics, extra income on my side. The year was chilled. I got my distinctions.
Okay.
So
Nice.
yeah, I was navigating nicely now. So now coming to final year. So for 4 years, I had a scholarship, right? My dad managed to, do some things. Obviously my marks also had to mark. My marks had to be marking for me to get the scholarship, the bursary. And then they were covering me for 4 years. And then I decided, listen, because I passed really well, they were like, we're willing to fund you for your final year. And I was like, ooh, wait, I think I want to get a bursary in a civil engineering company so that after school, after varsity, I can go straight and work. I don't have to struggle and look for a job. And so I applied for bursaries. I remember seeing this guy who was ahead of me, a year ahead of me. He had failed SWK before. I caught up with him, then I failed and he left me. So he went and he got a bursary from like the company I work for now. And I was like, you got into Jones and Wagner? How? Because you failed. He's like, I'm like, who did you bribe? He's like, I didn't bribe, and I just applied. I'm like, and then that gave me so much hope because, guys, imagine you're coming from high school, you got distinctions, you get to varsity, you're failing, what do you call this? You're just demotivated to some degree. You don't feel like you deserve to be part of companies like your Jones and Wagner, which is very good. People who get cum laude go there. When are you failed? So I decided to take a chance. In my third year, I applied. I went to the interview. That is the only interview, by the way, that I've been. I've never been to a work interview because I've been there ever since. And then I went against an Indian guy, a Chinese. I'm like, Chinese. By the way, we're all black, so I can't even say because I'm the black one. But I got in, and I'm like, is it because I'm female? And I'm like, no. It's because I did well. Can I just? Yes. I did well. It's not because I'm black and I'm female. I did well. I'm in. That's all that matters. So Jones and Wagner is like mainly a geotechnical company, right? It was started by geotechnical engineers. So in my final year, I thought geotechnical engineering, that's where I'm going, because I didn't really like water. Okay. Or I did, but it was just I kept getting 50s, and I'm like, this subject. So and then there was pavement design, pavement as in like your roads and stuff, and I'm like, I don't really see myself as a road engineer. Then there's traffic engineering. We went by the robots. We had to literally count the cars moving, and then I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't like that. Then there was structural engineering. I'm like, okay, this is what brought me into civil, but this is hard. And when you keep being told that if this structure fails, people are dying, you're like, nope. I don't want blood on my hands, but why would they be blood on your hands? Because you should be good at what you're doing either way. But structural engineering, I was like, nah, I don't really like it. Hey, it's fine. And then geotech, it was like, but this is nice, studying soil mechanics, you know how it all works out. And then so in my final year, I did then my final year research project in geotechnical engineering, and I'm going into a geotechnical engineering, or predominantly geotechnical engineering. So yeah, it made sense. But
so geographic,
geotechnical.
yes, it's geotech, right? I'm breaking down the word to understand what that is. What is geotech?
Okay, I think I don't want to say geography as such. I don't want to say so. Studying of soils is really the study of soils, how they behave, soil mechanics.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't think geotech and think geography. No, there's a little bit of it, yes, but soil mechanics. You are studying how soil behaves because sometimes soil can liquefy. It can act like water.
Oh, okay.
And if it liquefies, everything just...
So is that where they say, okay, how do you make concrete?
No, that's structural engineering.
So, as in what materials you must combine together for you to make concrete?
That's structural engineering.
What
Your
is
soil, geotech goes out there in the field.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm gonna go out there and you wanna, maybe let's say you wanna construct a mall at that mountain, for example. We're gonna go there, we're gonna drill into and see what is the soil made up of. Okay, so maybe the first few layers you have your topsoil, you're gonna remove that and then you have a different kind of, so that's when geology comes in.
Okay.
Not geography, geology. So geology, the study of soils, rocks and everything. And you know, some rocks they're flaky, others are like hard. You want that hard, you don't want a flaky kind of rock. So you're studying the soils, you're doing the test, is it stable enough? If it isn't stable, how deep do we have to go
to build?
Yes.
Okay.
And how tall is the building that we're building or the structure?
Oh.
Because the taller it is, the deeper you need to go.
Yes.
And
the stronger the rock or the
yes.
surface you're building on needs to be.
Yes, so that's the study. So you are trying to figure out. So civil engineering, right? When you're designing structures, because our structures are not moving, it's not like mechanical with this motion. Our structures have to be still. You don't want movement. You will get some settlement. Like if you're gonna construct on some material, over time you get a little bit of settlement. So we predict that okay, fine, this building it will settle by this amount, and because of that kind of settlement, this is what we're gonna put in place to make sure that it's still fine. You don't want it leaning or whatever you want it to be.
And in order for a building to be proper, you must have some movement.
You do allow for some movement, but also it has to be within certain specifications. So we deal with states. We're calculating forces that can be acting against it. So if you have a building, there's wind, there's the actual weight, there's the stuff you're going to put inside. There's a lot. And then, yeah, also the type of material. So the strength of maybe let's say this beam here. We need to calculate, okay, so my concrete mixture, I want it to be this strong, you know, for this type of, for this purpose that this structure will be there for. So there's a whole lot. Our field is multidisciplinary because we'll be designing one thing. Like right now, remember I came in thinking geotech,
yes.
But I'm actually a water engineer.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, so hey, you know, paths take us wherever.
Yeah.
So as a water engineer, I'll be designing maybe let's say a stormwater canal. And there are different linings. So maybe I have it as concrete lined. So I will specify because concrete can take high velocities, it's quite steep. So I want concrete. Then the structural engineer will come and say, okay, if you want concrete, if it can handle these velocities, it has to be this thick. We need to reinforce it, you know. You'll have a geotechnical engineer who would have done some studies to say, okay, here we have a problem area, so you can't just design it this way. We need to put other stuff in place, you know. And then you probably have a pump station and pipeline designer who's like, okay, we'll be pumping this amount of water into you. So there's a lot of working. Yeah, we work together. So we never work in isolation when it comes to engineering projects. You shouldn't be working in isolation because there's different elements. You can continue with that answer that you got and make a mistake the whole way through, and you only realize at construction phase that actually I designed for this. And like, where did you get that from? You know, so we have to keep checking each other. You cannot work in isolation. Communication is very important in our field. You need to communicate because things change. You'll be designing something on site and they'll be like, there's a water table here we didn't really see before. Now we have a problem with water. How are you going to divert that water to make sure that you can construct?
Water table, the table of water.
So underground, you will have like your layers of soil and rock and whatever, and then at some point you will have a point where you have water flowing through. So you have your water tables. So how you would have a borehole waterfall. Where's that water coming from?
Okay.
Yes. So you need to be aware of those things because water is an enemy of the structure. Yeah. So you don't want it to you want to contain it nicely and see how it behaves and control it and not have it ruin the structure. So there's a lot that goes into it. So yeah, so final year I did my final year research in geotech. But geotech in Misa, it was a, what do you call this? A design module. So in that module, we are getting exposed again to all the different types of civil engineering, and you are doing projects in it. And this is like design as you would do it in the office. And I thought I had my geotech, lenses on, and I'm good to go. But I actually got the lowest mark in geotech, and that actually it traumatized me. It was a trauma such that when I got to work, I was like, I want nothing to do with geotech because clearly I don't know what's going on. Even today.
You didn't even try it?
No. But now we're forced because our projects sometimes,
interlink.
Yes, they interlink. Now you're doing some geotech. I can't run away from it. I need to be better. 10 years later, but But
Nice.
yeah.
That's very interesting.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that now you are in hydro engineering. Is that what you call it? So how?
So while I was doing vacation work, because with that work they try to rotate you. I first started in environmental engineering, that department, and then I did also training in the mining infrastructure department. So yeah, in the mining infrastructure department, there are different. You sort of get exposed to all types. There's a bit of structures, there's a bit of water, there's a bit of geotech. So I like that because I didn't want to. What do you call this? I didn't want to stick to one thing and not have the movement or the flexibility to switch if I wanted to. So during my time then, while doing that work, I got to do more of hydro work, so hydraulic structures, right? And then I've been there ever since.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the back work opportunity that you had, because I think it obviously gave you background and understanding how the hydraulics part works, right? Was it an opportunity that came as a result of the bursary that you had with the company, or was it something else?
It was. So prior to me getting a bursary, I did also go to another company. I did request for back work because I could see the sponsorship that I had at that moment. Obviously, it's just a random sponsorship. It's not necessarily an engineering sponsorship. So I did back work at another company called SFC Engineers. It was an interesting experience, but I really wanted Johnson Buffett. So as well, with Johnson Buffett, if you're going to be a bursary student there, you need to come for that work. That is compulsory. Also in our final year, we had to write a report detailing our experience in the workplace. So we had to also do that.
And now how was the transition from final year varsity? Now you need to prepare yourself for this workplace and you need to be an engineer. You have responsibilities, the real life responsibilities to do, have real structures to do and prepare, and you need to make sure that every information is accurate, it's on point, and there's minimal risk to the public out there that will be accessing and using the structures that you created. How was that transition for you?
Okay, so what helped is in the workplace, you know how they like saying in varsity, whatever you learn there in the workplace is totally different.
Forget it.
No, for us, we don't forget it. We actually do use it. So during VAC work, because VAC work, you are actually assisting engineers with actual work. It felt like that. It was a continuation of VAC work. Yes. Obviously, at that point in time, you are still very fresh from varsity. You don't really know a lot of things, like practically how they happen. It's more theoretical knowledge that you have. So you're working under a supervisor. You are working under supervision. You never do anything independently. Even when you register as a professional engineer, they do say initially you start out being supervised, but over time you need to show that transition from being supervised to supervisor.
To
Yeah, to supervising others, being independent, making independent decisions. although we always consulting. Like I said, we never work in isolation.
Sure.
Whatever we do, you cannot just make decisions by yourself and not consult other people. We sit around, we're like, okay, I'm thinking, how about we tackle this problem this way, and we discuss it, and whatever we discuss, move forward with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long will the supervisory period be? Is there something that regulates it? Maybe it has to be for a year or 2 years until they can see that you're able to stand on your own, or is it based on assessment in the workplace that they see that now you're at the level of being given responsibilities and being independent?
All right, so after varsity, you decide, do you want to work in a consulting company? Do you want to work in construction? Do you want to work in government? Do you want to work in a mining, mining field, whatever? So you choose, right? I chose to work in a consulting company. I didn't want to be on site a lot. I wanted to be an office girl. Even as an engineer coming wearing heels, go to site once in a while.
You didn't want to wear the boots and the overalls.
Once in a while, not a daily thing. I don't want to be in the sun the entire time. And so some companies are different. They have a graduate program. Literally, like specifically for a year or two, you'll be under the graduate program. With us, you get in, you are a junior engineer. The understanding is, as a junior, it's from 0 to probably 3 years. You're being exposed, you're learning. But how fast you learn is up to you. How far you want to go, and to some degree, to a large degree, it's dependent on you. When you show them you are interested, when you ask questions, when you go above and beyond, they can see this person. So you'll find somebody with 3 years experience, they're able to register as a professional. They can actually get into management even. And then who just did the bare minimum, you can be there for 3 years and still not really know much. So your growth is dependent on you.
I think it's the same with every industry. You have to show that you are able of being innovative and being independent and reliable.
Yes.
You need to be competent in what you are doing for them to give you those responsibilities.
Of course, you need to
because now you're in the workplace. You're not studying anything. You're dealing with people's lives that can be accurate.
Exactly. And I mean, when you get into the workplace now, it's not just about I can design this and I can calculate this. Now you need to factor in people. You need to go in and get the buy-in of the people that you're constructing this thing for. You need to find out where they're at. So you have to. It's one thing that frustrated me in my first day of work is how many times the design changed. I'm like, how? The second we just discussed that we're gonna channel this thing here.
Something different.
Now, we didn't get an environmental permit for that. Oh, the community said you can't remove those precious trees because they use it for
and they have sentimental value. They've been part of the community for years.
Exactly, there is a lot. Your design is like a small piece. There's a whole lot.
But it's quite interesting because when you mentioned even the geotech studies that you do, and then discovering that now there's a table of water that's water table that's now affecting the structure. It's quite interesting because in our industry we also get those tender issues where there's delays because now they've discovered that there's a problem with the structure or the space that they are building in. There's some unanticipated, occurrences or issues with the soil.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite interesting. But then, how did you find the industry as a first year in the workplace and as a female? Is it a male-dominated industry, or is it one of those industries that embrace any gender and it's just easy for you to navigate your way through it?
I believe where I'm working, they embrace every gender. So I didn't actually realize I was the only lady. So we have our office, right? It's an open plan. For the longest time, I didn't realize I'm the only girl. But then again, the subjects I chose in high school, like your EGD, I was only like 1 or 2 girls. I was the only girl in class, and I got the highest marks, so it actually made me feel good.
Love your marks. Love your marks.
So I think I've always hung around men to a degree that I don't feel like I'm the only female, but also it's nice for me being around men. When the people are saying men are trash, blah blah blah, guys, the men I've been around, they are brothers, they are fathers, they are protectors, they are providers. That's the kind of those are the kind of men I've been around. So I've never felt at any point that they're actually looking down on me. More than anything, it'll be more of protection. Like to say, okay, we're gonna go to the site. We know you're married with kids. Can you handle this? Would you be able to go? Da, 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 you know?
That's actually refreshing. That's refreshing to hear. Because it's a struggle in some industries. There's that whole tug of war between males and females. And some male-dominated industries, it's difficult for females to find their comfort and find the support, from the seniors, the male seniors that are in the industry. So it's quite refreshing to hear that about you.
No, it is. I mean, even with the clients, I think maybe women who came before us, they had the bigger struggle, because some clients would be like, what's a female, especially black female, doing here? So I think they fought the battles, and by the time we were coming in, things were a little bit better. So and then by the time I had to do my site work, this is like I was spending time on site for like 3 to 6 months. It was such that, because they knew I have a family, I was like, can I take my family with? Because it was around the time of COVID. COVID. So I could go with my family because my husband was working online. There was a creche where we were. So things just work out. So yes, they are where you have a family, you are a female, certain things you cannot do. I was even working night shift. I was the only lady with males, but I've never felt unsafe. The only thing I was scared of is there were pythons apparently that were around. I was just afraid of meeting a python. But the men I was working with, Shem,
there were no pythons.
Sometimes slither their way in, but we quickly stepped on that head and we moved on.
That's beautiful, and there's so much more that I would like us to get out of you. So to our viewers, I think it would be fair to give them another episode where we can go through the technicalities of what you are currently doing, and maybe just to unpack the geotech part, to unpack being in hydraulics, structural, for people to get more understanding, because we want to ideally give people guidance or an idea of what each industry, or even specializing in these different industries, would entail. So
definitely,
to our beautiful viewers, we like Miss Manana and the input and the information that we've gotten from her. I think it will be fair for us to just do another episode where we can delve deeper into the industry and beautiful guests. But stay tuned for the third episode where we explore more about the civil engineering. Everything sounds so foreign to me, but it's quite interesting and intriguing to hear. And I would love to know more. I'm sure our viewers would like to know more about the industry.
Yes, and please do put your questions in the comment section, whatever it is that you'd like to know. If I don't know it, I'll ask, so that by the time we do the second part, the third part, I have answers.
So to our viewers, we love you. Thank you for staying with us. Bye.